Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Untitled Reviews. Now, it's certainly fair to say these days that wireless gaming keyboards are becoming all the more popular by the day, as gamers want all the performance with none of the wires. And Razer are hoping to continue this trend with the first ever wireless variant of their highly popular Blackwidow line that has, over the last 10 years or so, become a stalwart of the mechanical keyboard industry. Although it can be said that the traditional Razer experience comes at a bit of a price. The new Blackwidow V3 Pro clocks in at $229.99. When it comes to that price, it's comparable to the Logitech G915 Lightspeed that I reviewed, must be over a year ago now, when it comes to that. And really the question we're asking today is the Blackwidow V3 worth that outlay? So, when it comes to what's in the Blackwidow V3 Pro's box, well, you've got the keyboard itself, the absolute behemoth that it is, a detachable leatherette wrist rest, the USB-C to A cable for charging purposes, and some documentation. So, on first impressions, the design of the Blackwidow V3 Pro, well, there's no doubt that this is one of the sturdiest keyboards on the market, thanks to its metal top plate and literally no deck flex at all. I'm pretty much using all of my weak strength there to try and pull this thing apart, and it won't budge. It is quite a thick keyboard, as is evident essentially with the size of it, and it does weigh 1.5 kilograms. It is quite a heavy thing, and despite being wireless, portability and using this as a travel keyboard isn't really the strongest point. Of course, being a Blackwidow, it sports those classic Razer looks, and removing the wire does make it look even better. They are classy, seeming both gamer enough to suit those who spend all day in the bedrooms, but subtle enough to work in a busy office. Now, when it comes to keycaps, the Blackwidow V3 Pro makes use of double-shot moulded ABS caps. They are, again, rather nice feeling, but given this keyboard's cost, perhaps some PBT ones would have been nice, given the fact they feel a little bit nicer. They're not as rough, really, I suppose. Although two-shot moulded caps are kind of a given on keyboards like this, given how great the backlighting is. There are some rather nice onboard media controls that really do contrast Logitech's offerings on the G915. For starters, the volume roller doesn't give you splinters, and the buttons have a rather pronounced tactility to them. It must be said, however, and stressed that the Blackwidow V3 Pro isn't all rosy. There is a lack of additional macro keys or programmable ones that would have been nice, but I think Razer are hoping that Synapse 2 really does make up for this. In terms of additional features, you would have seen in the previous segment that it does come with this rather decent, on first impressions, leatherette wrist rest. But first of all, it feels a little bit flimsy by comparison to the ones you get with, the Asus ROG Strix Scope TKL Deluxe we've featured in the past. And to be honest, this does feel a little bit counterintuitive, given the fact that there is no, as you can see, no attachment mechanism. There's no way of latching it on apart from just sliding it up and hoping it stays there. So, whilst the Blackwidow V3 Pro, on first impressions, is pretty good, it's rather sturdy. I mean, you won't get any movement out of it, even with hard pressure. These kind of little additional features are where it kind of falls down. I don't really make it seem worth the recommended retail price. With the keyboard so expensive, the real question when it comes to the Blackwidow V3 Pro is, how does it perform day to day? Well, when it comes to key switches, as with the other Blackwidow boards in the line, the Blackwidow V3 Pro makes use of Razer's tried and tested greens, which offer the best of both worlds when it comes to a light actuation force and a tactile click. And to be honest, it offers a familiar typing experience for those Razer fanboys. Now, by comparison to Razer's optical clicky switches that feature on the likes of the Huntsman Mini that we've reviewed before, the greens do offer a more defined key press, which means that they feel rather decent indeed. Now, of course, whilst that audible click is rather nice, it does present the issue of noise. If you're on your own playing Counter-Strike in your room, then that's fine, but if you're within a loud office and you use the Blackwidow V3 Pro, you can expect complaints within the first 10 seconds of connecting the thing to your PC. Of course, with the Blackwidow V3's primary audience, there's plenty of gamer features to please the likes of them, with full N-key rollover and anti-ghosting, as well as a whole raft of programmable keys through Synapse 3 that delivers despite the lack of additional macros that I've spoken about before. Of course, the biggest jump forward with the Blackwidow V3 Pro compared to its wired counterparts is that it offers a wireless connection through the means of either Bluetooth or the included 2.4 GHz receiver that comes within the box. Also, there is the option to connect it wired with the detachable Type-C cable for charging purposes. It does become rather easy to connect. It's simply a case of plug and play, if you will, just without the wire, of plugging in the 2.4 GHz receiver into your respective device, or just connecting it to Bluetooth via a Bluetooth menu in the system settings, and then away you go. It is, as I say, simply plug and play. Although there is a little bit of an issue, I'll say a little bit of an issue, with the freedom that it gives you. It comes at a major cost with regards to battery life. If you've got no RGB showing, which to be honest, what's the point of buying it if there's no RGB showing? The battery life is a respectable 192 hours. With full RGB rolling around, like you can see over there, it cuts it all the way down to 13. Of course, battery drop-off when you switch lights on is rather common, but a near 90% drop-off by comparison does appear to be cause for concern. It should be noted, though, that whilst the battery life is rather short and the time you'll have to enjoy the wonderful backlighting is lower, the actual lighting that it comes with is certainly crisp and sharp, as Razer have come to be synonymous with over the years. The software that the Blackwidow V3 Pro makes use of is Synapse 3, much like pretty much all the products in their line these days. And we've got various different demos of Synapse 3 with various product on other videos on the channel. It features pretty much, the traditional Synapse 3, so you've got the option to mess around with the 16.8 million colour backlighting that the Blackwidow V3 Pro comes with, as well as the hypershift function that essentially doubles your amount of programmable keys. Now, one thing that is kind of exclusive to the Blackwidow V3 Pro is the issue with the marriage between hardware and software. There are some pretty pertinent issues. Switching devices whilst you've got the Blackwidow V3 Pro connected can cause Synapse to forget the keyboard exists and then freezes. There's been a lot of reports within the tech press of this happening on kind of various websites and through various different specialists in their field. But, nonetheless, with its great green switches, incredible backlighting and rather sturdy construction, the Blackwidow V3 Pro does make for a pretty decent keyboard for gaming, but that battery drop-off is really something to consider. So, in conclusion then, should you buy the Razer Blackwidow V3 Pro? Well, on first impressions, it does seem like a good bit of kit and builds on the brilliant features of its wired counterpart, offering a freer experience with no wires, proper key switches, and some decent multimedia functions. Although, when you consider it, the price that it comes at 230 quid, is a massive deal breaker. For that kind of money, you would expect a pretty much perfect user experience, and I am quite sad to say that the Blackwidow V3 Pro doesn't really offer that, given its software issues, a rather dysfunctional wrist rest, and also the fact of the issues with its battery life when you turn the lights on. Logitech's G915, whilst it does feature a little bit of deck flex in its construction, doesn't suffer from the same issues. However, if you are a Razer fanboy who's wanted a wireless Blackwidow for a while, then Team Green have really answered your calls. And it does feature some good points, as I say. They are to be stressed, especially the green key switches and the absolutely marvellous construction. Although with that high price tag, poor software optimization does mean that it is a pretty hard sell. Now, all that remains to be said is that if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. Links are down below to that. To follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Links should be appearing on screen roundabout now. If you like any of the kit that we feature in these videos or any of the other videos on this channel, then there'll be an Amazon link down in the description where you can pick it up. So, I suppose all I've got left to say is thank you very much for watching.